Nikola Jokic during the 2022-2023 NBA season solidified himself as one of the all-time great NBA centers and players in NBA history. During this season, he added to an already spectacular list of accolades. During the 2022-2023 season, Jokic was an All-Star for the fifth time in his career, earned his second All-NBA second-team selection, although he only lost out on first team because Embiid won MVP, and he earned his first Western Conference Finals MVP, NBA Championship, and NBA Finals MVP, capping off one of the most impressive seasons ever from an NBA great. Now with an NBA championship on his resume to go along with 2 MVP awards, questions surrounding Jokic's greatness are forced to change. Before the season, the only questions about Jokic's greatness were whether or not his phenomenal play could translate to championship success. And now that he has just delivered one of the most impressive and most dominant playoff runs in NBA history, capping it off with a ring, we can start to ask, what's next? And around this time in a player's career, when they're coming off their first championship and reaching the peak of their abilities on the court, we start to look to see if a player can deliver again. Just like with other all-time greats who were able to finally deliver a championship after already having had multiple MVPs on their resume, like with Giannis in 2021 and LeBron in 2012, we start to ponder whether or not these superstars can do it again. And if Jokic does manage to do it again, conversations surrounding the all-time great centers in league history will start to get really interesting. Because as of right now, the top 5 centers list is pretty much solidified and has been for a long time. The general consensus is that Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are the 5 greatest centers of all time in whatever order you choose. But outside of these top 5, things start to get interesting because names like David Robinson, Moses Malone, and Patrick Ewing start to come into play. And right now, Jokic probably sits around the 7 or 8 spot comfortably. And I'd say he's still only behind Moses Malone since Malone had 3 MVPs and a ring, and I guess potentially behind David Robinson because he also won 2 rings, although Tim Duncan was the catalyst of those Spurs championships. But again, if we're just going for individual greatness, Jokic would probably sit ahead of David Robinson. But with Jokic getting another finals run and MVP award, he could find his way into the top 6 greatest centers of all time, and he may even surpass Moses Malone, if he isn't already in that echelon right now. Although, it would be hard to crack this top 5, given the importance of each of those centers to the game of basketball. I mean, Kareem revolutionized the game with the skyhook. Bill Russell was an important figure beyond the sports world as a political figure when he played, but he also has 11 rings. And Wilt Chamberlain was one of the greatest physical beasts of all time, while having some of the craziest stat lines in NBA history. And then Hakeem Olajuwon changed the game with his post moves and versatility on defense, while having one of the most impressive championships of all time in 1994, because he didn't have any all-star teammates. And everyone knows the beast that Shaquille O'Neal was, three-peating with Kobe Bryant and being one of the most dominant players to ever play the game alongside Wilt Chamberlain. So competing with these guys and these accolades, it would be tough for Jokic to crack the top 5 centers list, especially considering how nostalgia subconsciously impacts every individual's view of the game and how we rank legends. But Jokic could bring his own uniqueness to the top 5 list. He himself has changed the game in many ways by playing the point center role better than any other player that has played in the league. And he has done so while accumulating some of the craziest stat lines probably since Wilt Chamberlain. And stats are just a bonus because they don't even tell the full story of Jokic. To really understand his greatness, you have to watch how this tall, pudgy, unathletic Serbian man dominates the game while often looking out of breath and moving around like he has no coordination. Because now that coaches are seeing that you can run your offense through a center by having him facilitate the offense, other centers will be given and have been given the opportunity to do this. And we've seen this in smaller amounts with guys like Bam Adebayo on the Miami Heat and Domantas Sabonis on the Kings, and even when he was on the Pacers. And we'll inevitably see this happen with Victor Wembanyama on the San Antonio Spurs. And in a sense, Jokic has paved the way for these types of versatile centers to carry more of a load on offense. Rather than just having your center set screens, post up, or shoot jumpers, you can have your center bring the ball down the court and play the point position. And I think that is a lot of what's next for Jokic. It's continuing to inspire a new generation of NBA big men who will hone all their skills on the offensive end. And again, if Jokic continues to do what he is doing, there is no telling where he can end up on the all-time list, because he's already on pace to retire with some of the craziest stats ever registered by an NBA legend. In fact, Jokic at the age of 27 has already achieved some of the most impressive playoff feats of any player. And some of these include having the most triple-doubles in a single postseason, which he did this past playoffs where he registered 10 triple-doubles. And the previous record holder, interestingly enough, was none other than Will Chamberlain, who registered 7 triple-doubles more than 50 years ago during the 1966-67 postseason. This postseason, Jokic also became the first player to record a 30-20-10 stat line in a finals game when he dropped 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists against the Heat in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. And in the same game, he and Jamal Murray also became the first teammates to have triple-doubles in the same NBA Finals game. This postseason, he also became the first player to finish the playoffs with stats of 500, 250, and 100, as he recorded 600 points, 269 rebounds, and 190 assists during the Nuggets 2023 postseason run. See, Jokic has some of the most incredible feats in NBA history, and these were just his postseason accomplishments. Now, I could also go on all day about other records, accomplishments, and stat lines that he achieved in the regular season, but I think the point has essentially been made. As long as Jokic continues to play at this level, barring he doesn't retire young to go back to Serbia to chill with his horses, which I mean isn't really far-fetched considering how much he loves being home and he loves being a family guy, playing with his horses. Jokic is going to continue to rack up records and accolades. And as long as the Nuggets continue to do right by him, there is no reason why the team won't continue to have such playoff success and he won't continue to add to his catalog of NBA greatness. Let me know what you think about what's next for Jokic. And thanks for watching.